My name is Ocidio Coelho. I'm the technical director here at the Think Lab, and I'm going to do what I think is a very short presentation about the two TNAs that we have conducted so far. So, in terms of the conducted TNAs, the first one, titled Multiphysics Analysis of Composite Impact, it was proposed by Professor Motamedi Motaba, and it was his PhD student Hassan Khawaja that actually was conducting the experiments. They belong to the university or to the High North Technology Center of the Narvik Technology College in Norway. Just like an extra word about this TNA, because one of the components of the TNA was actually the building the infrastructure for the software for a simulator, which meant that that actually the students has stayed for an extra 2 weeks or before the proper TNA, so that we also part of another ongoing collaboration. We helped him develop implementing the simulation tools for this for them to be used on the visualization platform. The second one I'm going to speak about is TNA number 56, and it is called Audio-Based CogInfoCom Channels for Spatialized Audio Environments. And the PhD student that came was Adam Sapo from the Budapest University of Technology and Economics. Starting with the multiphysics analysis of composite impact. So the context of this project was to look at the challenges in multiphysics simulation, especially around visualization techniques for these physical phenomena. So in terms of the challenges that multiphysics simulation involves, so there is an excessive generation of data, so you have massive data sets for the simulated data. You need to identify the right methods of sorting that data. You need a suitable interpretation of this data from different software platforms, from different simulation software platforms. We need a clear presentation of the simulated problem. So, hence the focus to focus on the visualization of this physical simulation of this physical phenomena. As the project was at two components, so I call it application. So you have application 1 and application 2. So basically those were two of the platforms, or two of the applications that were developed for visualization within this project. So the first one was looking at the shockwave propagation, and what you see in that on the image is actually the physical setting of the experiment, which was used as reference to compare with the outputs from the numerical simulation. In terms of the results of that experiment, you'll see there that well, you see a typical representation of the shockwave propagation, and what we found on the results was that the simulation results were according to the physical experiment, but because of the characteristics of most of the simulation software, some results were difficult to be visualized or to be identified, such as the point of reflection on of the shockwave, so where the shockwave reflects inside the pipe. The application 2 is looking within the same setting, but is looking in terms of thermal diffusion. So it's looking at simulating variations in temperature in these pipes. So for the simulation side, as you can see, the simulation domain is a cube made of 21 cells on each dimension, so 21 by 21 by 21 cells. The boundaries are set as isothermal conditions, so we are assuming that there is no transference of heat in the boundaries of this tube, and the temperature rise is introduced at the middle of that domain. Again, standard software tools with a 2D representation fell short to represent the thermal diffusion in 3D. So the aim of what was developed was to demonstrate the thermal diffusion in a 3D domain. The visualization platform that it was used to develop both of these two cases, two scenarios, is our base framework here at the Think Lab. That we call it Digital Cities because it was the main functionality that led to the creation of this platform. You're seeing a couple of screenshots of photos illustrating the different applications of the platform. So in technical terms, this is a multi-display platform, so it drives our Octave. Octave is a 8-sided cave that we have here at Salford. It has a dynamic configuration, so it can be broken up into 2 separate caves. Or as in well, if we had the space in the room, it could be also a very large flat screen as well. We have here at the Think Lab, where I am at the moment, we also have a power wall, so it just you can see in the photo in the center, and the platform is also suitable to run on PCs and tablets. The rendering engine on this platform is either OpenSceneGraph, or we also migrated some of the functionalities to Unity 3D, which is a game engine. We use Middle VR to allow us to actually have Unity 3D mapped into the Octave environment, so we can actually distribute a single Unity environment into multiple displays, having multiple camera settings. In terms of interaction interfaces on this platform, we use Vicon tracking for marker track for non-markerless tracking. We use depth sensors like the Kinect, or equivalent to the Kinect, as a markerless system especially for gesture recognition. The platform is also suitable to run on any multi-touch platform. It accepts input from a more traditional technology as gyroscopic mouse, gamepads, of course keyboard, mouse, and all of those classic interfaces. For simulation, or for the simulation side, we have a computer cluster running ROCs, which is a parallel processing distribution of Linux that let us easily parallelize the problems that need to be addressed. I'm going to show as an illustration the visual results of this first implementation. So you are seeing the video of a sample video of the simulation showing the propagation of the shock wave and clearly identifying the points of reflection and higher pressure within the structure. So in terms of the other experiment, it's not a very interesting video because it's always taken from the same perspective, and we cannot. It's probably difficult to understand with this frame rate also the 3D domain where it is progressing. So, but again, these results have been presented in a conference, and I'll speak about that later on. As a conclusion, in terms of the results for these two experiments, and this is actually taken from the presentation done in an international conference. So the author said that multiphysics simulation can solve numerical equations to solve the in-depth physics of the physical problems. However, the generated results are not of any use if not visualized properly. The presented examples clearly demonstrate the importance of visualizations in the interpretation of multiphysics simulation, and it concludes by saying, therefore it is essential to emphasize on visualization as along with the solution of the multiphysics problem. This work was submitted at the NAFEM's conference on multiphysics simulation in 2012.
Could you tell us what are the interests of a 3D perception, not the 3D visualization? I can understand that you visualize in 3D, but did you investigate something specific thanks to the 3D perception? That means that if you use a 3D device, then is it better to use that rather than a usual 2D display to see the results? Because the video you have shown is clearly mostly a linear effect on the tube. So I would like to better understand if you perceive something which was not viewed on, could not be viewed on a linear model or 2D model.
That's a good question, because this just shows that the video is actually a poor representation of the problem, because what the tools of our digital systems platform allows us to do is to stop the simulation at any point and define a cutting plane on any location on the pipe and visualize in 3D what's happening inside the pipe as well. So this is not just the effect on the surface of the shell of the pipe, but you can visualize the pressure points inside the tube itself. And the most important bit is where you have another pipe joining into the main tube, where you can actually see on the inside. You can see the reflection patterns and the waves that otherwise you wouldn't be able to visualize or easily at least on a 2D environment.
Did you use a real 3D device like stereoscopic or any other kind of 3D device, or did you use just 3D cutting planes in a 3D projected scene within a 2D display?
Our digital cities platform actually allows us to do a full immersive navigation inside the model, and as this is on the interior, it can be defined. The simulation points are defined as a point cloud. You can actually go inside and have an immersive look at what's happening in there. So it's not just a simple application where you define cutting planes to look inside. You also have the ability to for example, to have this displayed on our Octave and actually have a full immersive view of what's happening. This is clearly not my area of expertise, and I'll apologize if on any scientific imprecision I do during this presentation. So the title is Audio-Based CogInfoCom Channels for Spatialized Audio Environment. So let's start with what was the aim of the proposal that was submitted to Visionair. So the motivation behind this project was to explore the possibility of creating audio-based cognitive info communication channels using spatialized audio environments. On the description of the project, there was two objectives were laid down. The first one that clearly fits with the aim, which was to create these audio-based info communication channels using spatialized audio environments. The other one was the assessment of the user experience, comparing these cognitive information communication channels, comparing the spatialized audio environments with the experience of using stereo headphones. so a simple stereo audio output. So just a couple of words on the definition of cognitive information communications. So this is as a definition, it is an interdisciplinary research field at the meeting point between the cognitive science and info communications. And it has one of its main aims is to provide a systematic view of how cognitive processes can co-evolve with info communication devices. In that way, enhancing the capabilities of the human brain, extending their cognitive factors by letting them interact with artificial cognitive systems. In terms of the architecture, the technical architecture setting here at Salford, what we have is an audio system that is able to create a field to generate a field wave synthesis. So it's able to by using multiple speakers to create the wave front that you would encounter in the real world, instead of just having two audio sources that are mapped at each of your ears. So in terms of the hardware configuration, what we have here is a setting with that is run with the use of two quad-core PCs. It has 4 high-resolution sound cards, each one with 64 separate audio outputs. We have it requires different types of digital to analog converters, several audio converters, and also amplifiers to feed each of the speakers. So this configuration actually in the Octave feeds 256 loudspeakers. So each wall of the Octave is fitted with a line of 8 speakers. So these are used to create this wave field that propagates towards the user inside the cave. So just a diagram of the layout of the Octave, and the speakers are fitted on above the screen. So there is a line of speakers. I'll show you in a picture later on. So this is the graphical representation of what can be generated using a field wave synthesis. So basically what this allows you to is to place virtual sources of sound within the 3D space. So this allows you to actually have a 3D experience the sound in 3D without having to use headphones. So what you're seeing is a virtual, actually a readout of a simulation having a sound source as if it was placed in the middle of in this case, in a cave setting. On the Octave we have the 8-sided shape configured to generate the same type of output. So again, a view of the setting on the Octave. We're looking at one of the corners of the 2 walls and showing our digital cities platform and the ability of using the waves, using wave field synthesis to have sound sources located inside the environment, making it a more immersive experience. So in terms of the problem domain for this project, so the setting in the Octave, it uses the usual method of interaction in spatial audio environments. So basically, we can control the location of individual sources and their amplitudes, and of course they can be moved around dynamically. But this requires a conscious approach. So there is a tight control around what you're doing with your audio. So what Adam did was to apply what's called a spiral discovery method, where in this case the sound sources and their amplitudes in motion through time are viewed as a single sound object. And then it is possible to mix the effects of these sound objects by interpolating and extrapolating from them through the use of a set of weighting parameters. So this is part of his previous research. So what within this TNA, it was actually to apply it and to a technical solution within the API that we have developed for dealing with field wave synthesis within the octave. So just a quick overview of the implemented output parameters. So you have, well, you'll define the sound source you want to be playing. You define the initial coordinates of the starting point from that source within the octave coordinates. You define a direction vector for the movement and the speed of that sound source. You define the start and end amplitude of the source, and you also define the start time when the source is supposed to start playing, expressed as a percentage of the whole configuration for the experiment you are doing. So in terms of the results of this TNA, the main aim has been achieved, as the result was the implementation of a tuning model within the octave architecture and the API. So now we are able to use this tuning model to do experiments, to do what was supposed to be the second objective on this project as well. So it has been done an initial assessment of the technical implementation, but due to the shortness of the time, we weren't able to produce a formal assessment that was one of the requirements on the project. So it has been laid down as a future work that we hope that once Adam has the time, it will submit again to the Visionair project, so that we can conclude by preparing and conducting a formal assessment of the user experience, comparing the system that he developed and implemented with what would be achieved using just a stereo headphone.
Is there a following transnational access project involved for the following step?
I haven't been in contact with Adam for some time, but we were pushing him to actually to submit another proposal, although that would be depending on his personal availability.
It should be nice to go towards a conclusion, a scientific conclusions, more than
exactly.
just a technical assessment of an initial setup, which is obviously a very good point.
I didn't completely understand if your sound system is implemented within a virtual cave, or is it completely decorrelated for the moment?
The system, the first prototype was independent of virtual environments, because it was it was created for studying the generation of field wave synthesis, regardless of the use in terms of virtual environment. But what we achieved already was to have that tied in with our virtual environment platform. So when you are visualizing your virtual environment, the API lets you program the sound system accordingly as well. So you can have you can be, for example, displaying an object in the middle of the visual space inside the cave environment, and you have the sound source mapped to that object. So you will experience the sound originating from that virtual object.
are you able to simulate the sound in 2D or really in 3D? I mean the height of the sound, if you have a virtual object coming from the top or from the bottom.
With the current setting, you are mainly getting a 2D environment. But what we can also do is by displacing half of the speakers from the top of the wall to the bottom to also generate the field in 3D.